as well, so it stays forever. But let's see if both teams are ready. Alrighty, here we go. Week 7, the final week of CPL before the playoffs. And so, you know, both teams trying to get a good conclusion to the regular season. But this is CPL 2v2 League for GC1-GC2, also called Liminal. And you have the Chillers in blue and Spartan Vanguard in orange. And GC Lock challenging. He might have an opening. He goes quick, and what a touch. Thought it was a little risky, but clearly knows what he's doing. Gets that touch without a moment to spare. As Spartan Vanguard strike first, but almost a kickoff going the other way to tie things. As Crazy Daco gets met with a challenge. And constant challenging at the midfield. But a high ball, this might be tough. Hello, GC Lock. Strong touch. But back and forth play. Midfield. Possessions matter. And a touch initially, but now 2v1 situation. And GC Lock strong on defense, but a miscue, and Macho gonna capitalize on that. Has an open net to work with as Spartan Vanguard take a 2-goal lead. But trying for more offense, and that's gonna fall to the corner. But the Chillers down by 2, looking for something here. They're threatening on the corner, but that's going to be easily cleared. And back to the drawing board. Although Macho cutting through. But 2 players for the Chillers trying to collect, and what a pop. Can GC Lock get back in time? He does it again. And not only that, a double commit as a perfect touch challenge going forward, and plenty of time to put that through as Vanguard up by 3 now, and certainly having the confidence and that score line as we get to halftime. And definitely going to be important for Chillers to get something here, and off of the demo, beautiful play. And they do exactly that. And they seem like the team that wants to capitalize on their moments, use those number advantages, and that is certainly what they did. But a quick challenge from Macho as they were a little hesitant. And Vanguard get that goal right back. But as it is a 2-3 difference, still plenty of time, but Macho does it again. And he is looking speedy in front of the net and taking very little time to strike, as Macho really covering the midfield and wants another. Was challenging, but can't get a demo coming back. Souls wanted to collect for another flick, but ran out of time as the challenge approached. But Souls Bring it to the other corner, and Macho is gonna casually bring it over. Macho again challenging, gets the boost. See what he could do here, and possibly try and get the bump. But GC Lock has a little bit of space there, and that is the difference. You see a little separation, but he could get back to it. Chiller's a little bit too far back, and you see that resulting in a goal. And now we got a Brazil watch as it's 6-1, but very strong start for Spartan Vanguard in game one. Definitely how they want to start. And what a save, almost going through. Crazy Daco keeping that one out, but Macho has a good 1-2 punch, keeping the pressure. And Macho again a slight touch on the bottom of his car and continues on. Like we said, 1-2 punch, one after another. And you got the Brazil now, but seems like Vanguard not slowing down. They want to keep up the pace. But slight touch past Souls. And Daco, that's gonna stop momentum for a time. But a tough read from Souls. He actually gets that, but can't continue on. And now you gotta wonder, so you got the Brazil, right? But if you break the Brazil, how do you feel about that? Is it bad luck? Is it worse than getting the Brazil? Do you have to keep the Brazil? I would think, right? It ain't a Brazil anymore if the score changes. But they do that, and we got a Brazil game one. Spartan Vanguard take game one. And so, looking strong. Although, shot output isn't as crazy as you might think from the score line. So, what's that say? Chillers have some things they gotta tidy up. And we're gonna see if they could do that in Forbidden Temple. Alrighty then, here we go. Game number 2 is underway. And Soul's low boost, and GC Lock gonna continue on, and what a touch. And Soul's almost comes back with a tough angle, even though the ball is halfway in. But even still, what a play from GC Lock. Underrated, as he had to make a slight touch awkwardly to keep it on net. And a lot of times you see a player just do a strong shot trying to cut the angle, even though it's not going to work. GC Lock understands he's got time. He just has to adjust the angle properly. But that's your first goal. And Spartan Vanguard continuing where they left off. And Macho has that one. You could see they're playing close together, applying that pressure one after another. And GC Lock, a nice pass. Macho continuing on. And that is 2 for Spartan Vanguard. But Soul's gonna rip it on and almost gets it through, but GC Lock is there, and what a touch, going far. Although, can't make a touch off of that, and it bounces around. But good idea, just not fully executed. Macho still gonna apply the pressure. Souls with the defense. And GC Lock might have a double here, but good defense coming out from the Chillers. And gonna be looking at get one, but not so easy. And that pop goes forward. And nice pass. GC Lock deadpans it and gonna have to venture back. But so far, Spartan Vanguard able to get those pops, have the space, they have the time, and Soul's almost with the redirects. Crazy pass almost completed from the Chillers. And that's an open net. Deco fully taking advantage, and a little bit of miscue, but hey, give him credit. He had the flip to get over by one, making things awkward, and cuts the lead by one. We've seen this kind of score line in game one. However, with Vanguard, they kind of turned up the heat. And so we're at halftime, a little bit different. Chiller's still in this one. They're looking to tie. Cut midfield. GC Lock challenging. And Macho almost gets beat. But instead, turns this around, and Chiller's shown a little bit more speed, especially on defense. Definitely what they needed. But a big demo in the backfield. Macho wants the flip. It is not granted. And GC Lock challenging early, although it does create some separation and some demos coming out too. But Chillers holding on. And I like what Daco did there. Using the bounce, he had some options. But better defense on that one from Vanguard. But Chillers fighting here, back and forth. The pressure they're fighting with, but doing a good job playing together and adapting with some of those demos that have landed. Entering on a minute to go, and there's a shot just saved from GC Lock, and you felt the momentum shift a little bit, but Macho denied. He wanted that extra touch, and that would have been in. 40 seconds left. They're risking it all. And if Chillers can turn this around, they could have a counter goal. But big bumps coming out, and Daco, incredible effort, staying with it. That's a long shot, and they do it. They tie it up, and just a monumental effort you saw in the last 2 minutes, absorbing the pressure, absorbing the demos, and finally get their counterattack. But Macho going for it, and they almost get one to steal this at the end. Although Daco, he's a problem. And Souls on 1 second. They got the 2v1. Daco, just a touch right there. Separation. Macho in a tough spot. And the Chillers up by 1. And seem to steal this game too. What an incredible bounce back from them. And Bus Kids, what's going on YouTube? We're just casting a CPL match. It's a league for Rocket League. But game 3, DFH Stadium. And Chillers had similar shot output, but really capitalizing on their moments and limiting the mistakes And that's what we asked. If that would happen, they did it. And there's your result. So game 3, what's going to happen? More of the same? But it's more of the same game 1 or game 2? Or neither. And Vanguard have scored the first goal in both games. And Macho beating out, but that's going to be tough to work with as GC Lock finally gains possession and a pass mid. And you like those passes, but however, in twos can be so dangerous because you're risking it. And if it's not pinpoint, that certainly could be scored on your own net. But Macho in front of net, right space and time. But you also see the bump, a team bump from Chillers. That's going to be a little bit of a rough spot. Macho being challenged, going to head all the way back. And Crazy Ducko gets a touch, and now they're playing a little too loose. You see Chillers gotta lock in here. Macho staying in the corner, and no pass to be had. Chillers can't quite connect with each other as they're a little bit too close, but might have an open net. And GC Lock, great job getting back in time. But it's certainly a battle back and forth of positioning, what shots to take, and are your offensive shots good enough? And if they're not, that's just an easy counter for the other team. So equally as important, getting pressure is getting the right kind of pressure. Sometimes you might have to veer off and not take the shot, as if you do and it's low, that's easily cleared. But 1 goal and coming off of a 50. A big demo. Dacko, what a touch, and that's just wide. You like what you saw there. The demo 2v1 situation and the pass, but almost getting the touch. You could see Macho go for it if he had that slight touch going down. Could have resulted in a goal, but Macho able to get a little possession here. Chiller's a little bit far back, and he's going again for the ceiling. And slight touch bouncing around. How are these out? And you know Vanguard, they want that extra goal for security, but they're being denied. And you got to give Chillers credit. Their defense has stepped up. And it's really just been offense versus defense who wins. And we know Spartan Vanguard putting more pressure than the Chillers, but Chillers are able to optimize, and Macho has something to say about that. And he's in front of net again, where he likes to live. It's up 2 for Spartan Vanguard. But Souls puts that one on. It's going to be saved. Macho taking it to the right. And Dacko, he gets boost. He could do some damage here. But Lock all over the backfield. And Souls bringing it a little bit back. Macho challenging. And we're under 1 minute to go. A tough bounce. And Souls, enough of a touch, but Dacko trying to bring it wide, and he does get the goal. And given a little bit of time, he makes the most of it. See, when it's on the ground, a little less threatening, but he manages to use the momentum, and we might have a kickoff goal, and they do it. They tie it up, and Chillers really coming out clutch again. As 40 seconds left, 2-2. Do they have a chance to steal this one as well? And really just proving they're a second half team. GC Lock, big beat. However, Deco gets back in time. And strong touch going wide. And Deco, that's on. And you see the difference. They're playing well in space with each other. After a 50, the other player is ready to strike. And that's been the difference. And they do it again. Up by 1 in game 3. And Macho gets the bounce. Souls can't get there. Lock ties it up. Are you kidding me? This is just back and forth. And we're going to OT to really settle this. Forget about the back and forth. Gotta watch this kickoff. Strong kickoff. Macho gets boost. And now gonna take possession. Souls with the 50. Deco could beat out here. But that's a touch to buy some time for Macho. But Souls high up. Macho stealing boost. And Lock being challenged. And high pop goes to the backboard. Are you kidding me? Macho. What a play. And he put so much force on it as well. But certainly ends things in OT. And that will make a statement. But crazy to think. Chillers almost stole this one again. And that would have certainly been a different standing for Spartan Vanguard. Facing 1-2 series score. But instead they're up 2-1, have a little bit of safety there. But the Chillers really have stepped things up in a big way. And you certainly can't count them out. And game 4, we're going to see if they can tie up this series. But crossbar not going to help as we are into game 4. And who gets that strong start? I don't think we've seen the Chillers get that first goal yet. And curious how they play from ahead. It's been mostly behind and then maybe stealing late, which they've excelled at. Souls is up, trying to feed it midfield, but Macho able to bring it the other way. Lock 50'd out and going up high and causing a double commit. Macho almost able to get that one, and Lock didn't want to pursue, wanted to buy some time, and that is the smart play. Macho a little bit awkward, needs some help. He does manage to use his boost to save or at least challenge. Now Lock going the other way, and a little bit of help and a miscue from Chillers, but strong shot. And I guess at this point, no surprise, Vanguard strike first, but that one's gonna hit the crossbar. Not gonna get a second goal for Spartan Vanguard. But here come the Chillers, and don't have that 1-2 punch quite so close. But big demo there, and Macho using full force to clear it, buy some time, and trying to create separation. But fortunately, you see that rotation coming back. A little bit of a problem, and you see getting in front, who goes, a little hesitation in the same area, and Chillers really taking advantage of that, and they tie things up. And let's not forget, Chillers can't afford any more game losses. They're down 2-1 in the series, but a little bit of space. Here's a chance. Echo gonna be denied. And big 50 coming out. But Crazy Darko is there on defense as he comes back. And Macho, strong 50 on the ground. And that is important because you give up possession on the ground for the goalie. It's an easy clear. But Souls keeping it corner, and it's a wild bounce, and enough to make things awkward for Vanguard, both in net. But right now, Chillers maintaining possession, locking down these corners, and almost a chance there, but Locke does cut it a little bit too close. And Macho could be in trouble, and that almost works for Souls. And they're knocking on the door. You can feel the pressure from Chillers, but they're also well spaced. And if Vanguard aren't careful, they will be penalized. But strong pop from Locke. Can he drop it in front of net? Macho is there. And that's that little risk reward right there. If he doesn't get that perfect, that shot and beat out, then you certainly could be getting scored on. Instead, that point goes to Spartan Vanguard and take the lead. And it's a close game. But Chillers did show some good pressure of late, and they want to get back to that. 1 minute to go, and you know they're dangerous toward the end. Can they tie it up? Well, GC Lock popping, and Souls wise to challenge that. But big demo from Macho, and enough to get in front of that. And so key, you see Macho continually get those 50s, stay behind the ball, and limit possessions. And it's the little things. But Souls is going to be denied from Locke, who has to make the touch. But Souls turning that around, and 20 seconds left. And Macho again keeping it in front, taking more time off. But that's going to hit the crossbar. Awkward. It's just going in. Crazy Darko. And they do it time and time again. They just build up a clutch gene. The Chillers tie up the match, and question is, are we going to OT? Or does it end on a kickoff? Well, a strong kickoff. You see Locke not going to get it, and that's a challenge given up. They could almost cause some problems, but OT is where we're at yet again. And Soul's gonna make another round trip around to get behind. And he's trying to bump. He's got no boost, but still threatening. And that counter, GC Lock ends it. And you see that moment in the corner could have been problematic for Spartan Vanguard. Souls, he has no boost, but he's around the ball, could have gotten a bump, and certainly threatened making things awkward, but Locke prevails and gets that long goal, and Spartan Vanguard clutch up in another OT. But what a series, and definitely give credit to both teams for putting on quite the display. And you gotta give credit to the Chillers. They really stepped things up after that game one. And sometimes that's how it goes. One game isn't indicative of the whole series. And, you know, perhaps a slow start, but man, did they really put pressure on Spartan Vanguard. But Spartan Vanguard adjusted and learned to clutch up an OT as well. But guess what? If you voted Spartan Vanguard, you are correct. So you're getting those points. And that is going to do it for this late night cast. Of course, as always, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all the support. Crazy Souls, thank you so much for the follow, and give a shout out to Crazy Souls, who we just saw, who's on the Chillers, really putting forth the effort, really making these games exciting, and it was a pleasure to watch. Thanks for cast. Glad everyone could watch you choke though. Like, come on, you guys were clutch coming down the stretch for each game. Like, you almost stole not only one game, I mean, you did steal late, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean clutched up toward the end, but I mean, yeah, after game one, you guys really poured it on. And I would say that's not an easy thing too, because they didn't quite have as much pressure, but that just goes to show you they played really good defense and used their moments well. But I don't know if I missed anything. Oh yeah, Tundrum's on vacation, was fishing earlier, caught a crab and a croaker. Dang. He's a fisher. Damn, and he's using that to catch something larger. That's that's legit right there. You hit GC? Ain't no way. I don't believe it. But yeah, that's going to do it for this recording. We'll put it up on YouTube for anyone to see, watch back, or reminisce once upon a time.